Is AI good for you? Andrew Grill, futurist expert in AI. Hi, Andrew. Lizzie Crowley coming up too. Good morning, Andrew. I mean, we're talking legal work, financial analysis, writing and content, software engineering, medical analysis. Where's my list? Customer service? It goes on as well. But the other argument here is there's a democratization of creativity, if you like. Those people are now able to do stuff that they previously had not been able to do. This is a good thing, isn't it, Andrew?
Well, look, we've been here before. 30 years ago, people were asking me, is the internet good for us? There were the same hopes and fears we're hearing about AI. Back then, the issue was people didn't really understand how it worked or how it would affect them, their jobs, their society, privacy. And today, the internet underpins everything. I think where we're at is a really awkward stage. It's powerful. It's gaining exponentially almost every week, but it's evenly understood and not evenly distributed. So the challenge is the person in the street, do they understand what it can do and what it can't do, or are people just afraid at the moment?
The thing is, I've been reading this as well this morning. It's quite diverting when you start reading about AI. You get deep into a whole lot of rabbit holes. AI requires a lot of coding. Right? So if AI can write a code, as I understand it, it helps build the next version of itself, an even better version, a cleverer version, a smarter version, which then writes a better code. So therein is the seeds of our own destruction. Hysterical or not?
Well, it's hysterical if you believe the hype, and you're right that the latest version of Claude actually wrote itself, and the software designers set it on a task. And because what AI does really well and humans struggle with is things at speed and scale. So if you had all the time in the world, you could read all the code that's there and understand how to write the next version. But because AI works at speed and scale, it is able to do things at real advantageous. So I think the issue is, yes, it could run away, but at the end of the day, when we understand how it works and when the regulators understand what is good and what is bad, that's when we'll be in control. But the person in the street doesn't understand what it can do. And if they really sat down and became more curious about what it can do, they will probably go, oh, now I get it. And that's what happens to me all the time. I show audiences something very simple like putting an Excel document in and then having it understand it. And they go, I didn't know it could do that. And I think that's where the disconnect is, that we're hearing the hype. We're not understanding that it can actually help us and help our jobs.
What do you mean by when the regulators know what is good and what is bad? Why is that a difficult demarcation?
Because it's happening so quickly, and regulation and legislation is always well behind the technology. And so, yes, there are issues around ethics and privacy. The laws are still there. So GDPR still applies, but AI pushes at the edges there. And we've had issues around copyright and intellectual property. So as you say, the tech bros, they're forging ahead, and they're probably ignoring that some of the laws are in existence. And the regulators and the legislators just can't keep up because it's multiplying every week.
Andrew, a quick word before we go to the news on what you've heard so far, namely a standing call there from Ollie in Bristol.
Oh, Ollie, I was just smiling so much with how it's improved his life. That's obviously a very good use of AI. Comes back to my point and the last caller, understanding what it can and can't do, the notion of being digitally curious, and what schools need to do beyond just AI literacy. They need to teach critical thinking, because one of the concepts we unpacked there was, people are just wildly believing what comes out of AI. You need to sit back and go, is what I'm seeing right? Here's a trick for you. On any of the versions, click the deep research or deep thinking button. It thinks longer and harder, and you can see how it's thinking. You can then say, that's the way I would have solved the problem. So there are ways to actually investigate. If no one out there has heard of the deep research button, that's my example of getting more digitally curious, understanding what the tools can do and how they can help you. But good on you, Ollie. Great discussion.